So we go
irrelevant.
back
Yeah, that's
to
what I'm
my
saying. It all becomes irrelevant. That becomes irrelevant
we
because
go
if there
back
are
to my
not,
first point. This is where ideology stands against critical thinking, because it doesn't allow you to question these things. If you are within a certain belief system, you are not allowed to question these things. I even have a
well, I think this is a different
okay,
point,
it doesn't
but I
matter.
will say this. I think it's problematic that you bring up this idea about ideology preventing critical thinking, because in order to be critical thinker, you'd have to have the foundation by which to be critical. So, for example, if I had some sort of radical skepticism, I would never get anywhere because I have no foundation from which to be skeptical. So, for
Yes,
example, if I grew up in a
radical
Christian
skepticism.
society, if I grew up in a
Yeah,
Christian
true.
society with no knowledge of any other belief system, then I have to default to that belief system because I have no alternatives, right? There's nothing I can't just simply undermine it because I have nothing to go towards. And by the way, I just want to throw this in quickly that in Islamic theology, ignorance, it does save one from punishment. By the way, that's just something to throw in there. By
Yeah.
the way,
Okay.
so
So
there
if you
is an
didn't know
avenue.
about Islam and you didn't know the prophets, earlier you were going to go into Nigeria and all that. So just understand that in Islam, the Ahlul Fatra, or those people that are on the natural state, not knowing the prophets, would be saved as well, by the way. And children under bulugh as well, children who are unable to have critical thinking to be able to make the right decision.
Okay.
Yes. So what
I would suggest you study up a little bit.
So what we're going to say as well. Where was I? I'm sorry. I apologize. I think I lost my train of thought. So,
I
for
was paying
example, so in
attention,
order to be skeptical, in order to develop some sort of doubt in a specific thing, we have to have an expectation of what is normative. So, for example, Wittgenstein actually had this point when he was arguing against certain skeptics. He said, being skeptical doesn't make any sense unless you have a foundational ideology from which to be skeptical from, right? And then you can even start to doubt that ideology when you have an alternative to just dissect it with. So there's always going to be a foundational axioms or dogma that we have to follow. So I would disagree that ideology in and of itself is sort of a hindrance to that. I would say more of a mentality is a hindrance to that, but perhaps it's a different discussion.
That's a solid point.